I first want to thank the staff, our council central staff, my office staff, and the executive staff who were involved in preparing this budget. It was a major undertaking, and I know it required a lot of hours, a lot of nights, and a lot of weekends, and so thank you for your service. As an organizational psychologist, I believe in process. And looking at a budget, there are two important components of any budget. It basically comes down to how much money do I have and how much money do I need to spend. If there's a delta, one has to decide either to raise more money or cut spending. Very often it's both. The council started the budget process back in February in a very thoughtful, rational way in order to determine our spending affordability guidelines. We looked at many factors, including revenue projections, debt capacity, the adequacy of our reserves, various economic forecasts, and projected revenue from the state. Given all those factors, the council agreed unanimously and publicly as to how much the county could realistically spend going into the 24 budget. We do this very important step at the beginning of the process to help guide our decisions as we move forward. Unfortunately, the county executive ignored any reference to the agreed upon spending affordability guidelines and recommended, in my opinion, an outrageous, fiscally irresponsible budget totaling $6.8 billion, which is $500 million or 7.7% more than last year's budget. Not only was there an assumption of a 10% tax increase this year, the recommended budget created a structural deficit that would equate to a 7% increase next year without any additional funding. As this is my first budget, I can't really compare it to prior years. What I can say is that receiving this proposed budget with a 10% tax increase was a non-starter from the very beginning for all of us. As you might imagine, with 11-member body, we didn't necessarily agree on which programs to cut or where the final tax rate should be, but we all began the very difficult work of getting that number down. My primary goals were to ensure that the teachers were adequately compensated and that we could provide the necessary public safety resources we need to make our community safe. After a thorough review of the $3.2 billion MCPS budget, the full council has conveyed our unanimous intent to fully fund the teacher's contract. Even though by law, the council does not have control over the allocation of funds that we provide to MCPS, I have every faith that that will happen. We have also fully funded the contracts for our police and our firefighters. I'm also pleased to say that we were able to fund many critical programs for our community, including the libraries, parks, and additional medical services to rural areas. We managed to also get some funding put back in the budget for critical projects in my district, District 2, a portion of Observation Drive, which is desperately needed, and the Student Services Center at Germantown campus, partial funding back. And I want to thank my colleagues for their support in making that happen. All that said, this has been a very emotional discussion for our community. I know that we have disappointed people on both sides of the issue. Many people want more funding for schools, while we also have a large number of residents who want no new taxes. In the end, I vote for the compromise, both for the tax rate and the budget. As an active participant in getting the tax rate as low as possible, at the same time advocating for line item funding, I felt that it would be disingenuous for me to not vote for the end result. I appreciate and respect the votes that my colleagues have taken today, and I agree with much of what has been said. Thank you for your honesty and your passion for our community, and I so appreciate serving with you, with all of you, and it's been really a great experience. And we're only 6 months in. So now we need to look to the future. There is a general thought among many of our residents that the county has enough money to do everything we need to do. The reality is, I don't know if that's true or not. The council's review of this budget was primarily limited to the proposed FY24 departmental increases versus taking a deep dive into the base budget. And that's just not good enough. As difficult as this budget has been, we are going to be in the exact same spot a year from now. I have long been a proponent of zero-based budgeting to determine how much it costs or how much it should cost to run the government. And the only way out of this downward spiral is to take a very close look at every dime we spend to determine that how to more effectively spend our taxpayer dollars. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves to make that happen. I know my colleagues are ready to do that hard work, and I look forward to working together to do so. Thank you.